Aloha, you are listening to the Rolling Vets Podcast, a podcast by veterans, for veterans, and civilians alike. I'm Lucas Moss, your co-host, and I am flanked by my Marine veteran peers, Aaron Pata and Chris Ellis. We would like to extend an invitation to you, the listener, to journey inside of our realm to discover what it means to be a rolling vet. All right, episode 2, here we are. It is tomorrow. Well, by the time this thing airs, it'll be Thanksgiving. So holiday season, just getting started. We're going to talk a little bit about our day-to-day. And then also, because it is like Thanksgiving and the holiday season, I want to talk about some of our fond memories of like the holiday seasons while we were in. I know we were deployed our first go around.
Yeah.
And then our second one was in. Oh, and we were deployed for Christmas and New Year's, our first one, and then deployed for Thanksgiving, our second deployment.
And got back before Christmas.
Yeah, I got back just before Christmas. Yeah, fucking wild ride. But yeah,
were you part of that the white elephant gift on the first deployment?
No, because I was already in India company. Yeah, I heard that was outrageous. Tell me about it.
Fucking hilarious. It's pretty much everybody obviously went and bought a cheap gift for each other and whatnot, and fucking somebody, I forget who bought it, but they bought like a fucking little G-string for like a guy with like a nut fucking case.
I thought didn't Denny buy that?
He bought it and then fucking Ferg got it. I don't know if you got. All right, so one of our Marines we served with, he's this great big giant buff white dude, and just trying to picture his fucking ass and his little G-string fucking like a little rhino nose or some shit on it. Like, that shit's great.
Yeah, I heard there was that. I think was there a cock ring or no?
Was there a cock ring?
I think there might have been. I heard like wild stuff from that. I kind of sad that I didn't get to participate in that. But yeah, when our first deployment, when we were deployed for Christmas and stuff, one of my most fond memories is our first sergeant at the time dressed up. So he had camis, but like they were old camis, and he had the name taped claws on them, like Santa Claus, and he had like it like stitched on like the white fur stuff like Santa Claus wears on his outfit.
Yeah.
And like stitched on the camis, and then so it was a camis. It was like a camoed out fucking Santa Claus like get up, and he went around to every single. I mean, he was a big anti-drinking guy too. Like he didn't care if people drank. He was just, whenever we got the option whether we should drink or not, he always leaned towards no, because he knew what trouble we'd be up to. But and which was totally took me by surprise, because I think Morrison and I were roommates at the time when we were in Oki, and I think I slept. I think I was taking a nap, and I woke up to First Sergeant walking in wearing this get up with a case full of beer, just tossing beer to us. And then he goes up to like all the grunts got together, and they were in like the third deck lounge, and he just walks in, just starts throwing fucking beer cans to everybody. Like that was great. I mean, it made the holidays not suck as bad. But then when like New Year's came around, I was actually at the fucking E Club.
Well, they banned us from going off base for New Year's. The comm shop. You weren't a part of that, were you?
No. But I think, well, before our first deployment, we had that dude that killed that national.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he hit he was drunk, basically stole a Govy. And then fucking killed that Japanese man. And then that's like, because we were dry, I think, up until that point. We were dry for like the first like 20 days or something like that.
I remember finding out about it before we went on UDP. So if there's like an international incident anywhere in Japan, no matter what branch it is, like the whole service goes on lockdown. So nobody's allowed to like go out and drink and shit. Like no matter what branch you're in, you're on lockdown. You're fucked. You can't fucking drink. You get fucked.
Yeah, you go dry. Yeah, the whole base, all the bases go dry. That's what they call it, and it's pretty wild how in Ogi apparently it's a very like common thing, which kind of worked out in our benefit because of the fact that we weren't our first deployment. I don't think we were in Okinawa like long at all. I think I think combined time wise, we were there for maybe out of the 6 months, we were there for maybe like a month and a half,
Yeah.
like total, because we were only there for a couple weeks, and then we hit it and we just started basically country hopping after that. What are you smoking on?
Oh, let me do a shout out right here real quick.
Okay.
My boy Hutchie called me out last podcast because I wasn't smoking at the start of it.
Oh, okay.
So it's Holy Grail Kush. Got it from a dispensary here in Jackson
Okay.
called Choice. It's pretty good, but shout out my boy Hutchie. This one's for you.
Okay, Hutchie. That's funny
What
because
about
I'm not smoking this time around, but
with
that's
Pata?
what. Yeah, well, yeah, I'm not pulling a Pata, but like I have my tea. So what I do is like I'll buy like the shake and trim, and then I'll bake it. So and then I'll turn it into butter. So I go through that whole process of like decarbing it and then like fusing it with butter, and then I make like a shit ton, like because like shake is so fucking cheap, like at least here in Maryland. And this is another thing I wanted to preface with is I can't believe it totally. I mean, I think we were all kind of. I was definitely a little high the first time, but like,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
I
like
started
it's
off high when I first got on it, and I
yeah,
was like, and I
yeah,
sounded dumb because my mic was like far from my face, my setup wasn't right. So like, we're
yeah,
good now, guys. We're
yeah.
good.
We're good. The test run, but I wanted to preface by saying that okay, so you're in Michigan, it's legal to grow, and it's legal recreationally. I'm in Maryland. It's not legal recreationally, but I have my card. I have my medical card. Aaron is in California, and if you don't know about the weed laws in California, then you're probably not an American. But yeah, I just wanted to preface that just in case like people were just like, well, okay, these are just a bunch of stoners,
Breaking
you
the
know,
law.
just breaking the
Breaking the
law.
law.
But yeah, I took about I usually do around 5 G's to a quarter O, and I'll bake it, and then I'll fuse it with butter, and then definitely try to get into like mixing it sometimes with my dinner, depending on how late we eat, or usually I'll do tea. Tea's kind of like my go-to, something easy. But yeah, I'm definitely trying to like cut back on like my actual like smoking
Yeah.
intake instead of just like because I use every day just like just smoking, and it's not cigarettes. Obviously, it's not as bad as cigarettes, but it's still like not great. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm definitely like kick back and like definitely doing the edible route, but also
See that hits you like you can't control that really. Like you gotta like
you can't. It's a science, and I'm not a
you
big
gotta learn
science.
that.
Yeah, so trust me, I have like I definitely because I start first it was just like I just eyeballed everything, just like oh like this much just to see how what this does, and then next thing I'm like a space cadet like just like I'm like a prisoner inside my own body.
Well, even dispensary edibles, you get a 10 milligram of one brand and 10 milligram of another brand, and it's like
Yeah,
one's like, what the fuck? I'm not nothing right now. The other one's like,
yeah, I learned that the hard way. Because I was always comfortable making my own edibles, and of course it starts off with brownies, and so that's like the easiest thing to make. And then it got into like, okay, well, I can turn it into butter. I just like found out I didn't just I guess yeah, I just found out that I could turn it into oil as well, like use like vegetable oil or like olive oil.
yeah,
But that one's a little bit more tricky because of the fact that you have to do like a 1-to-1 ratio, like 1 cup of oil to 1 cup of like weed. Like so I'm like, damn, that's a shit ton of fucking weed I have to
yeah,
like buy just for that. But luckily, like the dispensary I go to, like their shake is usually for 7 grams, like so a quarter, it's like $30. So $30 for all that. And then that'll make me like a lot of butter because butter is something I can eyeball. But yeah, mixing it with tea, man, and mixing it with like other stuff, like just general culinary stuff. I'm definitely experimenting, but I went from eyeballing it and like totally getting fucked up to like now I like measure it out usually I do it like by teaspoons and tablespoons. And
yeah.
yeah, because I made that mistake of like going to dispensary and I grabbed 25 milligrams. So the 25 milligram gummies, I had one, and I was just like, oh my god, like I was like a couch potato the rest of the day. I was like, my whole day was thank God it was like a Sunday, and I was like, let me just give these a shot, dude. I was fucking done the whole for like 5-6 hours.
That's great. So What was the worst holiday you spent in the Marine Corps?
Oh shit. To be
Or
honest,
even like do you have like a shit birthday or that either?
no, I actually got really lucky. I was really lucky with birthdays. Um, when we first got to the fleet, my birthday was like a couple weeks after that. So, got to spend like I think that was like my 20th birthday. I spent in the fleet. It was just me and a couple guys, and I just bought like my first car. Not for like 16% interest or anything, like I wasn't like that much of a boot. I
You
had
wrecked it
one
like
of
a month later.
Yeah, oh, I did wreck it a month later. Yeah. That was because I was not used to driving in downtown Honolulu. Like it was just fucking confusing as shit. And so yeah, I totaled that. But so I just got my car and we went downtown and just like went down to Waikiki and just kind of explored, walked around, got some teddies and that was it. But my worst holiday, I would say, was the first time I actually got to go home on leave for the holidays, and it was actually our pre-deployment leave before our first deployment.
Okay.
And I went home to Philly to visit my family, and it really like that's when it like hit me for like the first time of like, and I was of course like drinking, but like that last night I was just like drinking, and I just like I broke down in tears because I was just like, man, like I took my family almost for granted up until that point. And when I realized like, okay, like I went home for basically my first leave period in like the Marine Corps that wasn't like boot leave or something, or that forced leave they make you take after you graduate school. Um, like that was my first time like going home and then coming back and then getting deployed, and like it kind of hit me like really hard that I took my family for granted, and like that saying goodbye every single time, like it never got easier. I thought it would, and
Yeah.
it never got easier. So that was like, yeah, I got to see my family and stuff, and that was like a good time. But that was definitely like the worst, like I guess, like holiday season because that was like during Thanksgiving. What about you?
Well, I mean, my first birthday in the Marine Corps was fucking dog shit. So I joined March 20th. My birthday's
Uh
March 26th. So the so the day I get my fucking DIs was my birthday.
huh.
And
Okay.
I remember like sitting there like this guy next to me is my rack mate, the only fucking person I knew. Fucking and he was like, "Hey Alice," I told him it was my birthday next day. He's like, "Happy birthday." And I was like, "Fucking thanks, dude." And then we just got fucked up all day long, like shit thrown everywhere. I was like, "This is fucking bullshit, man." Nah, but like it did suck. That was one thing that hit me too. When I first went in, it's a comm school. When it started hitting me was like, fuck, like I don't get to see my family. I don't get to see my fucking friends. Like I'm over here doing this with people I don't even fucking know. And it got harder until I hit the fleet, I think. And that's when like you like establish your friend group, you know. In comm
Yeah.
school, you don't know where you're gonna go next. You're still like
Exactly. Yeah.
undecided. Like you like still like, oh, am I, like I'm gonna be in like Lejeune, am I being like Pendleton? Like
And
no
then all your
fucking idea.
classmates are kind of fucking motards, like,
Oh yeah, and some of them are fucking douchebags and shit. Like
yeah.
you know the shit bags like elite in the comm school
Mm.
until like the fleet and shit. Fleet shit bags are different than comm school shit
Oh
bags.
yeah, yeah, it's totally different.
Comm school dickheads are fucking they're assholes, bro. Like
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
but yeah, that was a definitely shitty. Always like fucking leaving and stuff, saying bye. And then when you hit the fleet, it was more of a like I understand, like I can go home now and like stuff like that. I have these friend groups to like be here, and that's why I think like you come so close with your friends while you're in at your duty station. Like me and you knew each other in comm school,
Mm.
hit the fleet together, be like, you know, we're always hanging out, like always, you know, drinking and stuff, going out and partying, and even after we stayed in touch constantly until
Yeah.
we started this podcast.
Yeah, yeah. Another thing too is like that after that time I went home and I came back, we got deployed. That was the last time I ever went home. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was like the last time I ever went home, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, that was the last time I ever went home to see my family after that because I was like, I don't want to do that again. Like I couldn't stand doing that again. So the other time, when we went, I think it was, yeah, when we got back from our first deployment, we got back in like June, and then we were doing a workup, and we had the holiday season right in the middle of our workup. Um, that's when I was like, so speaking of comm school friends, like my buddy Drew, Lupercio, who lives in LA, I just started like spending time with his family when we were in comm school, like whenever we had like a 96 or something, because he lived in LA and we were only like 4 hours away, 3.5 hours, whatever. And would go spend time with his family. And then that 1 year when I was like, man, I don't one, and it sucks when we were stationed in Hawaii, like you're almost all the way to the East Coast. I was the East Coast. So like spending like 1,400 fucking dollars on a ticket,
Dude,
to go home, and that shit sucked. And then you're like your leave days too, like because you have like a set
you're
amount of
wasting a full
days.
day.
You're wasting a full day like going there and
Yeah.
back, and like because you don't get any like days just for travel. Um, that like kind of turned me off from like going back to the East Coast, especially like, okay, I'm gonna pay all this money, I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna enjoy myself a little bit, and I'm gonna be really upset when I leave. Like it's not worth it,
Yeah. That shit sucks.
Um, and then luckily because we were in Hawaii, like LA was only like 5 hours away, so I got to like Drew and his family like were more than welcome to accept me into like their family and have me for the holidays, and it was really fucking awesome because um he has a like a stepbrother named John, and he's like a heavy set dude, and he always played like Santa Claus for like all the kids in the family. But like the kids, like they kind of like figured it out by a certain age, like okay, like he's not Santa Claus. So when I was there, his stepmom asked me, she's like, "Hey, do you want to be Santa Claus?" And I was like, uh, not really, I guess. She's like, well, we need you. Like they already know like it's gonna be John, like but they don't know like if you do it, like it'd be different. So I was like, all right, bet. So they hooked me up like the whole Santa like outfit, like the boots, the gloves, like they painted my like eyebrows like white and stuff, and like had the whole beard and had the glasses, and I had to like take off like my bracelets and stuff, like my
You
watch,
got a
just so
picture of
like
this?
huh? Oh, I do. I'll definitely. I'm gonna send these photos to you because it's funny because like they're like dressing me up and I'm like giving the finger
You
like.
like put it on here somehow if you can, like right here.
Yeah, I'll definitely look
You
into
try to do
editing
it.
it and
Try to
like
do
yeah
it.
and do that. And then so the suit's like huge, so I like stuffed like a big pillow into it, and then I was like, okay, let me just walk in, like shoot the shit with these kids, like what's good. No, they hand me like a big fucking bag of toys, like a whole Santa sack of like toys, and I'm like walking down like the fucking streets in like East LA, Vato land, like with this big bag of toys, and I go in there and like totally had these kids fooled. And these kids were like, well, why are you so like tan? Like, why is Santa so dark? And I was like, oh, I went to the Bahamas for the off season, like. But yeah, that's definitely one of my most fond memories is like being in and like having that experience of like being close with someone, because of being in the service, like that their family are more than welcome to accept you as part of their family, and then the fact that they were so understanding of the fact that um that I wasn't able to spend it with my family. That I mean, I wasn't. It's not what I wasn't able. I just, didn't want to go through the trouble of doing it. So they definitely made the most. They gave me presents and everything. It was a fucking great time, and I definitely consider them like a second family of mine
Yeah,
for
actually,
sure.
I actually have something just like that. Me and Cole Pillmore,
Hmm.
like Pillmore, we went to Hawaii together, got stationed together, didn't even know each other, met each other in Hawaii, and then found out we lived like 20 minutes apart from each other back here. Every time we went home on leave together, we always hung out, had bonfires, went out drinking together. Like I know his family, like he knows my dad and stuff. He's coming over tomorrow actually to my
Okay.
house. Yeah, Cole's gonna come over tomorrow. So like, it's cool having somebody like that you got out. Well, I mean, I got out now, and I still hang out with him every day and stuff. And I made that like, connection while I was in.
Yeah, that's a very important thing. And then you brought up like your rack mate too, and I was just when you were talking about your rack mate in boot camp, I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, that's like your first ride or die in the Marine
Yeah.
Corps is your rack mate. Like the like you guys look out for each other, and that's where it starts, and that's why
Mhm.
there's only two people. I would like to think that the theory, like there's two people in a fighting position, right? They don't really call them like fighting holes or whatever, like foxholes, but in a fighting position, there's you make room for two. And that kind of starts like with
Yeah.
you and your rack mate, like when you first get there. Like I mean, we switched around like maybe like once or twice, but like that kind of like notion of like having each other's back and really like ensuring that neither one of us got fucked up for something stupid, like that was real. And you carry that until like, that's kind of like the entry into like looking out for each other, because of course like the drill instructors do a real good job of like Stockholm syndrome, where like you're literally getting treated
Fucking
like
you
shit,
up
and you're like, I want to be that person. I want to be that person that's
It's like,
literally fucking me up right
please
now.
slay my ass.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're like looking for, and you're like you're looking up to someone that's literally like shitting on your existence, and it's just Stockholm syndrome. Like,
Yep.
um, and then so you have that like us against them mentality, and that kind of like obviously builds like the unit cohesion and stuff like that. But yeah, to have those friends and to have those people in your life that, I mean, of course, the circle back to Thanksgiving, to be thankful for them, to be thankful for, that you and I, especially you and I, like meeting in comm school, and me
Yeah.
just like, you're like, hey, if you guys need anything, like, here's my number. And I was like, oh, you're going to give out your number? Bet. Like, I would have sent you some
Oh.
stupid shit.
Oh, dude, you would like start that shit and everybody would just fucking destroy my phone, dude. You get
Yeah.
hundreds of messages like, you fucking cuss.
Yeah, just totally fucking with you. And then because of that, we became great friends, and
How you
and
doing?
it yeah, I don't. And then I had a buddy who, Adam Hughes. I think he was with First Marines. I think he was either First or Second Marines. I think they're both in Lejeune, right?
Yeah,
I
I
think
think I
that.
remember him in comm school, right?
Yeah, you remember? Yeah,
Yeah.
him and I used to fucking go to the E Club underage, and you sit in 29 Palms, like the fucking E Club, like on a Friday, Saturday night, like and especially if you were like in like Bravo company and you weren't in class, like you still had to show up in your camis. So
Yeah.
like you had people just getting fucking sloshed, just lost, like
Shit,
in
fucking
their
privates in
camis.
there just gone, dude.
I remember so yeah, we used to like go all the way, and like obviously you have to walk through Taco Bell, right? And then we would have someone, like give us a wristband, and just like an old wristband that we would tape to ourselves to be like, okay, like we're of age, because if you're not, you got like the X's on your hands or whatever.
Yeah.
And we would just sit back and like sit in the back, and then have like a table like with people who like were in front of us, in between us and like the people who were like headhunting for underage people. And they would just buy us pictures, just buy pictures and pictures and pictures. Like we never asked for like individual drinks. We would just like all share a picture and like get like totally just destroyed at like 19 years old in the E Club.
See, I don't want to risk that shit because I was underage too. So I always just like got a bottle and just like brought it back to my room and would just like pound it one night and then toss it next morning.
Yeah, dude, there was, man. I mean, I remember because after a while when I was in charge of BMAT, and we'd still have to have formation every single night.
Yeah.
Sometimes I forget about it. Sometimes I forget, like, man, every single night, even on the weekends, we would have formations like at fucking like 9 or 10 or something stupid. And like, of course, it's like a Friday, Saturday night, and I'm there and I'm trying to get accountability of like literally 1,000 like Marines. Like there's a whole battalion size out there. Like there's so many fucking people in Bravo company at one given time. And I'm missing like 20 fucking people. Not only am I missing 20 people, I have people like in the fucking formation, like can't even fucking stand. Yeah, they're just like hanging off someone in formation, like throwing up and shit. I'm just like, or they're in the bathrooms, like the public bathrooms they used to have, like right by the duty hut. Like there'd be somebody in there passed out, covered in their own fucking throw up and shit. I'm just like, man, I do not. I do not miss those days. But speaking of which, when we were there, Adam, he couldn't go anywhere for the holidays one year. So luckily my aunt, who lives in Goodyear, which is just outside of Phoenix, Arizona, so it wasn't too far. We were in, she was within like that Liberty radius or whatever you're allowed to go to. So one Thanksgiving she came and picked us up, and like took us to see the Grand Canyon. Like that was fucking awesome. And we spent the whole weekend like with her and like watching football. She had a neighbor who was who was a scout sniper in the Marine Corps, like back in like the late 80s, early 90s.
Damn.
And this dude was a psychopath, like as straight. They had like a pigeon problem or something, and he bought like a BB gun with like a scope and everything, and would like sit like in his house, like prop open like his window, and just fucking like pick these things off like all around the neighborhood, just from like inside his house, like would just like kill these. There was just like dead birds like everywhere. He had his ghillie suit hanging up in his garage, and he came over, was like talking to us. He was like, bro, the key to happiness in the Marine Corps is the Mew. That's what you want to be on. You don't want to you don't want to get deployed. You don't want to go do that bullshit. You want to go on a Mew, and that's how he was. Yeah. But luckily, we got attached to a Mew our first deployment.
Yeah.
And he was right, dude, because that was a fucking hell of a time. Hell of a time.
I liked being on ship for a period of time.
It's literally jail. It's literally jail. Like you wake up, you eat, you work out, you read, and then repeat. That's all you could do as a Marine on a ship.
Like gyms are always like packed during green hours.
Yeah.
Blue hours, like there's fucking nobody there. Like you see Navy guys in during green hours because they can come in whenever they want to. It's like, come on, bro, really?
Yeah, the corpsmen and stuff, and and in the rations. Don't get me started, dude. I lost like 20 pounds on this when we were on the ship because like they wouldn't feed us anything.
The food was like dog shit too.
Yeah, the food was horrible, and then they didn't give you enough of it. And then the lines to like the PX on the ship was fucking like super long. But the worst part about that is, remember, you had to like, you couldn't just use like your debit card or whatever or cash. Like you had to go and put money on an account, you know, and get a card that you use just for the ship. Such a pain in the ass. But speaking of birthdays, I had my 21st birthday in Thailand. Yeah. And it just so happened it fell on that last day of training where they were like, okay, like the whole battalion, you guys can go out and drink now. Like we're done like training, like we just finished like the big exercise, and they're like, hey, like you guys are good to go like to this dirt road right outside of base and just fucking get hammered. And that's how I spent my 21st birthday. It was awesome.
I spent my 22nd birthday on ship on the way to Korea.
Oh man, yeah, we flew to Korea. Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, India Company flew because we had to get there first. Remember? Yeah, we had to get there first for we were like the Op 4 or whatever. So Op 4, like the opposing force. We did like the Marine Corps likes to work in what they call 3-to-1 ratios. So like there's 3 infantry companies in a battalion. So like you want to sick an entire battalion on one like enemy company. It's like the best odds or whatever. Yeah. So that's what they did when we got shipped to, or we flew to Korea. Like fucking, we were there like I want to say like 3 weeks before everybody else. Which was like those beginning weeks were like amazing. Like being there, just the only company there, like no battalion like overview. There's no somebody about the fucking gear SOP. You know, nobody's getting on your ass about the littlest stupidest shit because you're just there by like just your company. And like dad's not home, mom's not home. Like we get to do whatever we want. And yeah, so we flew there and got there early, and it snowed like within the first couple of days, which sucked ass. But yeah. So I was just very, very lucky that like when I turned 21, well, it didn't even matter. If you could see over a bar in Asian countries, they usually serve you. Yeah, because I mean, everyone there looks super young, like all the time. Like you either look like super young or you look really, really old. Like the Asian community overseas. Like, I think you remember. This reminds me. You remember? It says generic name though, but Smith from S1.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude. So he so he got attached to India Company for like the last couple months of deployment. And did you ever hear about this story about how they tried to like marry him off or something?
No.
Oh my god. So India Company had like this like event where we played football and we played soccer with the Thai Marines. And there was like families there that were like preparing like food for us. They had karaoke, they had a DJ. It was pretty cool. And so we're like in the middle of the fucking jungle, and they found like this dirt patch that you can literally like play sports on. And and he said I guess he told some girl he saw there, he's like, oh, like you're cute or something. So she started writing him letters while we were there in Thailand and like giving it to like, at the gate. The gate was literally like one of those poles that you literally could just like you push down and the rest of it like lifts up.
Yeah.
And like it was a Thai Marine that was like 5 foot like 4 and like his M16 was like bigger than him. I was like, dude, like you got like children soldiers over here or something. And and so she's handing this guy these letters. He's giving it to First Sergeant Ray. And First Sergeant Ray's like reading these letters, like, what the fuck? Like, it's like this thing, like she's obviously like really broken English, but like, hey, like, can't wait to marry you and all this stuff. And they would, dude, her and her family would pile on this fucking moped, dude. I shit you not, like 10 of them on this fucking moped and drive to the front gate, like asking to see him, like about him, because they thought that they were gonna be able to give like their daughter like away to him, like he was able to. Like he's gonna be able to take her back to the States and like marry her. Like it was like Tiger Woods is like that or something, something like that. It was so fucking funny, bro. Like they made a huge deal about that in particular, about the fact that he was. And then we come to find out, dude, she was like fucking like 14 or 15 or something like that.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah. And he obviously he didn't fucking know. He's not like a pedophile or anything, but yeah, that specific incident while we were while we were in Thailand, it just goes to show, dude, how poor it was. What were your first impressions when we got to Thailand? Like when you got off the ship and you had to take the bus, what they call BCK.
Don't remember that? I wasn't in Thailand. I went to Tokyo. Remember?
Oh my God, you weren't in Thailand?
No, I was in Tokyo. I got tasked out by myself because you're gonna a story about everybody thought I went UA.
Yeah, I do remember that. I didn't know that was the same time frame because I thought, because then you didn't go to the Philippines either then.
No, I just went to Korea and Tokyo.
Okay, yeah, that's the one thing I regret is not going to Tokyo. That was like my big thing.
Well, man, I don't know, like Tokyo or like Philippines and Thailand.
Oh, worth it. Yeah, over Tokyo anytime. If I had to choose between the two, like, I mean, I'd never been to Tokyo, so I can't just bullshit and be like.
It was cool. Like, it was cool as fuck because, all right, so like if you like JDM shit, like Supras and fucking GTRs and shit, like you go over there and there's like R32s, like R33s everywhere. There's like fucking Supras and like all fucking years, every fucking model. There's Lambos.
Tokyo Drift, baby.
Dude, they have like such a badass car scene there, but there's too many fucking people, man.
And you were there by yourself, right?
Yep.
That's crazy. So crazy. That's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, like Pungi by myself and shit, and all these other fucking, I don't remember the names of them now, but it's got like the train, and I got lucky, so I hopped on a train. Probably like a half hour outside of the city of Tokyo. I was on an Air Force base. That's where I was tasked out to, and on the way there, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I couldn't read, kanji on the walls. So I think it's called kanji, right? Yeah.
I have no idea, dude. I have no clue.
Kanji. All right. I think so.
We're so culturally insensitive.
But fucking, I met some random white dude who lived in Tokyo and was like, "Oh man, I'll show you, follow me." So I was like, just followed his ass like all the way to Tokyo, and then I made my way ass home too. That's
crazy. Yeah, Korea. You guys were able to go out in Korea, right?
Oh yeah, we went out and partied.
Yeah. So we had like 2 days in Seoul, and like that was it. And that was like one of the nights I had was probably one of the wildest nights I think I'll ever have in my entire life. Was like me and corpsman of mine, a good friend. He him and I were like we kind of got word because luckily, I mean, I was in headquarters platoon in India company, so like I got to sit in on all the meetings and shit, and I got like word like, okay, like yeah, the BC, the battalion commander was like, hey, like you guys, I approve like you guys going to Seoul, and we had just finished like all the exercise and stuff, so we didn't really have that much time left in Korea, and he's like, yeah, you guys are approved, you guys are good to go, but and then they told us that they were going to arrange transpo like for us, like transportation. And then the morning comes, they didn't arrange transpo for us. And then they're like, well, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you guys just have to figure it out. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, you guys just approved our our liberty to go to Seoul. We've been here longer than everybody else. We got the worst place to sleep out of all the other companies. We literally slept in the fucking rice patty during the rainy season, and it was cold.
I slept in the
Like,
fucking mud, dude.
yeah, we slept in the mud, dude. I literally, there was nights I'd wake up and like I'm laying on my side, right? Like I'm sleeping, and I wake up because like I'm like coughing on water because the water rose so high in my fucking tent, and then it'd be like, and it would be like cold enough where it didn't like freeze, and and so it'd be like, water freezes what, 32 degrees, so, or like sub 32. Dude, it'd be like 34, 35. So in the wind chill, dude, the wind chill there was insane. So not only am I getting like absolutely pissed on every single day, but I'm constantly wet, constantly cold. And then they tell me, "Oh, you guys can go to a city, enjoy yourselves for a couple days. We'll
Figure the
we'll
fuck
take
out though.
yeah, we'll take care of the transpo." And then the day of, they're like, "Nah." Like, "Nope, sorry." Like, you guys so the corpsman buddy of mine, he like was googling like these fucking bus companies, and he hooked us up, bro. He like came to an agreement like with this company, and they sent like 3 4 buses down, and like it was awesome. Everyone in the company pitched in, dude. Everyone was like, they wanted to get out so badly that
Yeah.
everyone's like sending money, to help pay for this. And so we got to go spend 2 days, and you were supposed to have buddies of 4, like groups of 4
Mhm.
to hang out. And it
Yeah.
was him and I was like, nah, fuck that. Like we got lucky. We were one of the first ones to find out that we were going, so we got a hotel room. And then him and I were like, yeah, we're not grabbing 2 more people. Like, it's just gonna be him and I. And we weren't allowed to drink, I think, at all. Yeah,
Really?
yeah, we weren't allowed to drink at all. Oh my god, I almost forgot about that. Yeah, we weren't. We were supposed to go to Seoul, sightsee, and like not and tell Marines like, hey, you guys have liberty, but you're not allowed to drink. Like, yeah, we weren't allowed to drink the entire time, but they had a PX in the hotel because it was on a base. And luckily, a lot of the radio battalion guys who we were with, the third radio battalion guys,
Yeah.
the translator, the linguist, and all that stuff, dude, they hooked me up with a bunch of soju beforehand. So, because they would go out with you guys when you guys go. What was that town? What was the name of the town that was near us?
Pohang.
Pohang. Okay, yeah.
So my first time ever drinking out with Pohang, I went out with Frizzell, Davis, and Linquist. We got out there at like 10:30 in the morning, or wherever the fuck we were at, and like we find the first place open. It was a chicken place. It just
Yeah.
said chicken on it, and then like,
Just chicken.
this Korean shit.
It doesn't say whether it's live or like,
no, it just says like it has like chicken, and it has like this, and then it has like some shit around it, and it's yellow. We're like,
it's
boom,
great
let's go.
marketing, straight to the point.
So we walk in there, and we're like, do you guys have beer? And they're like, beer? And they like point to like their fucking beer. We're like, yes. So we sit down, and we're like, 4 beers. And then she brings us 2 and we're like, 4 more. And like she was like, what? Like, we want 4 more. Like, we're gonna drink these. We want more. We sat there and just pounded beers for like an hour straight. And Frizzell, I have a video of him just like tipping that straight back. Nobody could out chug him. I've never seen anybody out chug him.
Really?
Shout out Frizzell. You can fucking chug, dude. He just
I never saw him. I think I've drank around him. I've never like drank with him though. Like, whenever he used to come to, like, when we had the big going away parties and stuff for everyone in the shop, like, I think he'd be there and he'd be like drinking and stuff. I mean, back in my day, I would always like show up drunk beforehand anyways.
Yeah.
So, and then I would never really stay that long. I'd be like, I'd go there and be like, hey, everyone's in one place. I'd be like, okay, who's going out with me? Like, I'm about to go out somewhere else. Like, who wants to take this journey? Like, I would just go there, recruit a bunch of heads, and bounce. Oh yeah, but yeah, because you guys, and there was another place in Pohang called what was the place that had the bell? Apparently, all the H&S guys went to go drink there.
Oh,
it was like Millie's or something. Huh? Mindy's. Oh, Mindy's.
My bar tab there. I forget what it is in yen. I think it's yen. No, not yen. What is it? There?
No, it was won. Yeah, won. Yeah.
It was, I don't forget what it was in won, but in American it was $415, dude. I did 33 shots that night by myself.
Jesus
Christ! I
Christ!
out the stairwell, dude. I was fucking gone. We need to have Man on here and tell that story. I want to get that story.
Oh my god! I used to hear like horror stories of that. So was that tab higher than the one we had our last New Year's we spent together at Mai Tais.
Don't you have a
Because
video
dude,
of me?
we
Don't you have a video of me yelling it? Like my fucking.
I have videos from that. Carolyn and I both have videos from that night, but like that tab that night was fucking insane. I think Carolyn and I split a tab and we still both spent like $300-400.
Yeah, I think mine was like I think it was over 400 still.
Oh,
I started off like let's buy. I remember I was just buying Jaeger bombs, like just
yep.
Jaeger bombs.
Oh man, that was.
Did they close that bar down?
Yeah, it closed down shortly after after we both left because of the fact that it wasn't a COVID casualty. They lost they weren't able to like renew the lease.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then they were supposed to go to they were gonna buy like where Hooters was to be because Hooters closed down while we were on our second deployment.
Okay.
Was it our second deployment? I think it did close down during our second deployment. I'm trying to remember. No, it didn't because it closed down shortly after.
COVID.
No, it was before COVID. It was before I left. Hooters was closed. Yeah, it was before the holidays. We got back in December, and I think after, I think like 2 weeks into December, it like closed down. Or that was right after December. I think, yeah, it was right after December. I think sometime in January, like it closed down for like good. I mean, that place was, dude, don't even get me started about that place. Well, I basically lived there. I basically lived in that Hooters, but like you and I used to go like 6 a.m. bro. 6 a.m.
Trashed by 10, dude.
Dude, I could walk. I got kicked out one time. I got escorted out basically because I'm standing near the bar, and if I stayed, I would watch all like basically like the 1 o'clock games and Hawaii because of time difference. So, daylight savings or whatever. Like sometimes it'd be like 6 a.m. and then the other games, sometimes the games would start at 7 a.m. And Hooters even had like a breakfast menu and everything.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And they opened early and shit. And so my thing was if I stayed past like the 1 o'clock games and into like what would be like the 4 o'clock, 4:30 games, and I stayed like that late, that's when they were like, okay, like you need to go, like you need to fucking go, like by that time, like everyone I came with is gone. And it's just me like wandering around drunk, like talking to random people. And I'm like talking to this dude, like super wasted at the bar. And I was right by like where the bartender puts drinks for the waitresses to come out and bring them to the tables. And I'm thinking that she's giving me drinks. So every drink that she's making, she's set down. I'm like picking it up and like drinking it. And then she finally caught on and put a pitcher of water there. And I grabbed the pitcher of water and I just started drinking the pitcher of water. And I was fucked up. And then they're like, you need to go. Like you need to leave. But yeah, that place fucking closed down. But yeah, they were hurting for a while because there was a point in time where they couldn't even pay like the girls that worked there, like the Hooters girls. They couldn't even pay them. Like their paychecks were bouncing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then there was a time, which I'm surprised they even made it through, where they lost their liquor license. And and the chefs, it's the chefs. That's being very generous. And the cooks, they went on strike. And so they kept it open. So it was BYOB. And the only reason you would show up is if you brought your own alcohol and got to watch like some of the games that were on.
Yeah.
And that was like, they didn't serve food, they didn't serve alcohol. Like it was just, hey, you can come here and chill, watch the TVs, like bring your own shit. So ghetto.
Bring a bag of chips and some beers, like sit down.
Yeah, you literally bring your beer and they'll bring you like a bucket full of ice. That was like basically all they could give you, and water. Like and soda. that was fucking it for like
tip jar some entrance.
Bro, that went on for like, dude, it was like a month at least. Like it went on for like a little bit. It was wild. I'm surprised like it even like survived through that time period to last as long as it did. Because I think after that it was privately owned. I think it was like a franchise. And I think corporate stepped in, was like, yeah, okay, like this fucking place, like there's no reason that a Hooters in Hawaii should be losing like this much money, basically.
Yeah.
And then corporate stepped in and they sent their own dude, like their own manager there. And I think you met him too. It was the Asian dude who, I think you, me, and Champney went one day and they forgot to pay for like NFL Sunday ticket.
Oh
Yeah, and
yeah,
then so we're like, where the fuck are the games? And because it was the new manager, and he was like, oh shit, and he had like run upstairs and like work it all out and like get the games on and stuff. And so we were watching the games, and that guy ended up getting fired. So the corporate manager they sent up ended up getting fired because he fell into the same trap that most of the managers there fell into, which is they got really close with like the locals and really close to like the regulars. And he got fired for like drinking on the job or something. He'd come in and just like take shots with us and shit and just fucking shit canned them. But yeah, dude, that was wild. Absolutely crazy. I'm glad I didn't spend any holidays there, that's for sure.
yeah, for real.
Spent many birthdays there. Many, not my
Yeah.
birthdays, but Morrison's birthday. I spent there, and he would look. I'll never forget this. He'll look at a waitress, and he was already tanked, and he just turned 22, and he'd be like, "Hey, you ever see a dead body?" And they'd be like, "What?" And he's like, "You're about to see one tonight," and he'd take a shot. Oh god. Yeah, dude. I love going there with the comp guys though. Like going there with Goody.
Oh yeah,
Goody was
Goody's fun
great.
as fuck.
Yeah, he was a good time. But yeah, man. Other than the holidays, like what did it look like day to day, like for your job?
Well, I mean, it depends on what rank I was, honestly. So, like, as a lance corporal, day to day was like being a bitch, getting told what to do.
Like what? They told what to do what?
Like dumb shit, like fucking go help radio with this.
Uh
Fucking or
radio
or you
always
know, like
needed
just like
help.
the bullshit working parties that you're always put on and stuff. But as far as my job and stuff, a lot of help desk stuff, which was cool. So I had to learn the basic of my job, which I am still doing IT shit outside of the Marine Corps. I was
Mhm.
IT when I was in, so it was cool that like started my basis and then I built up more and more and more as I ranked up, getting more technical with my job. And
Yeah.
as a sergeant, I was teaching corporals and lance corporals and PFCs and shit like what I was taught by my fucking seniors and shit. So that was cool, like seeing that transition. And then even like a fucking junior Marine I had commented on a or comment on my post or something and said something the other day. And it was like cool, like like seeing that shit. And now
Yeah.
they're fucking corporals. Now they're fucking picking up. It's like
Yeah. How did that like so you're talking about kind of like the evolution of like yourself through like your ranks and stuff. And
yeah.
so I like me personally, whenever I was kind of put in a weird position. Like I had a senior who left like halfway through my workup, and then or like almost towards the tail end of my workup, and then I got a new like corporal that was in charge of me. That was in charge of me until I picked up corporal like a couple of months later. But I personally always thought like whenever I always had to teach like the grunts, like all radio stuff all the time. Like I was constantly teaching these classes. But it like in doing so, I felt like I was like better. Like I felt like it made me better at being a radio operator. Do you think you felt the same way? Like whenever like you had to teach a lot of the new guys who came from the fleet, their heads are dripping with like this knowledge that their instructors have been feeding them for like the last how long is IT school? It's like
6
2 months, 3 months,
no
or is it longer?
4 months.
It's 4 months.
I think it's 4 months, something like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, like I definitely, as I picked up, it was more of like I need to know this. Like my job was technical, like configuring switches and like building like servers and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's so much you need to know like to that, and so much stuff you need to remember on the fly and stuff. So you're not like pull out gunny Google and fucking looking up shit or asking
Yeah.
questions and stuff.
Yeah.
So having Linquist too was great for me because he like motivated me to be better and shit. Because he was like him as my competition and stuff. Then plus took over help desk.
Like better how? Like better in your job, but like better as a Marine.
Yeah, like better as a Marine too. Because like I don't want him like fucking knowing fucking everything and I don't know shit.
Yeah.
So like that kept me like I need to look good for my peers. Because I wanted to make sergeant before I got in the Marine Corps. That was
Yeah.
a goal of mine. So I can't be underperforming. And think I'm gonna pick up and stuff. So
Yeah.
it kept me on my game and stuff and staying smart, and that allowed me to become a better Marine, and in my job field allowed me to get out and have a job now where I control a network by myself and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, which is great, man. That's great. I keep getting offered like all these IT jobs. I'm like, dude, I don't know
Do
shit.
it, dude. It's you can learn it. You're smart, dude. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
Start the
I mean that's
basics.
what I
3
just
years
had
from
a
now,
I just had a dude today come in and I work at GameStop like part time while I'm using my GI Bill. So I mean that's something I definitely want to talk about eventually on the podcast is like the great benefit of like going to school after you get out and utilizing your
yeah,
GI Bill because like especially going back to school. I mean I took like a couple accelerated courses prior to joining the Marine Corps, but like getting back into school like a lot obviously a lot older and wiser. Like I was like I'm 24 now. I was like a 23-year-old freshman, you know,
yeah,
in high school. That would have been crazy. How many times I get held back, you know? This dude, look at who the fuck brought this guy. No, it would like being like a 23-year-old freshman in college, and then you're also getting your all your schools paid for, and
yeah,
then your books are all paid for. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, man, like this could be like really easy to just fuck up, you know.
yeah,
It's really, you're basically giving this handout. But I kind of thought about it in a way of like I'm getting paid to go to school, so I might as well do great. You know, I might
yeah.
as well like take it like as if it's a job. But to stop the rant there, when I was like as I was put in a position where you know, kind of like thrown to the wolves, like, okay, like you're a radio operator, like all these guys are just grunts, like nobody knows how to do your job but you. So if you can't do your fucking job, then everyone's gonna know about it. Like there's no hiding it.
Yeah.
When
Oh, there's
calm is
not.
down, dude, calm is fucking down. Like there's only one person to blame. And I had a really great he was a platoon leader when I was a boot, and then he became the XO for my for our second deployment, and he used to always bring up like this football analogy. He'd be like, you guys are like the kickers on the team, like you're just expected to make the kicks, you
Yeah.
know, and step up in like the big games and make those kicks. Like that's just your job, and if you don't, you missed a kick, like everyone knows you missed a kick and everyone fucking hates you. so so yeah, but like having that pressure on me, like I definitely like absorbed it. And I had really great mentors, which was I think was crucial for the both of us in
Yeah.
our experience was having like guys who at the end of like yeah they'll fuck with you, but at the end of the day to have guys that were just like, hey, like this is how your job needs to be done, like this is the standard that we're holding you at, like, and to not only just like to set that standard but to help you achieve that and then more, I think was very important. I think you and I definitely lucked out with a lot of like NCOs that we had.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like my data chief, fucking Staff Sergeant Bame, he was like set the standard when I got in. Like he
He's a
was
great
like
dude.
the best model leader like I've ever
Yeah,
had in the Marine Corps. Like definitely. Great,
was he
great dude. And
was he the one that spoke Korean?
yeah, yeah, yep.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
stationed or not, he lived in Korea, I think it was, and that's where he met his wife at. And you know, knows Korean and stuff. He's a great dude. He's still married. He's tour. He lives out in Hawaii now again. I'm pretty sure he's stationed out
Okay.
in Hawaii.
Oh,
Yeah,
so he's
yeah.
still in. He's
So
still in.
oh yeah, yeah. He went to recruiting right. I only had him as a data chief for I think like 6 months or so, right?
Yeah.
Maybe like close to a year. Right before we deployed, he left. And yeah, him and Baldwin were great, and that's what really like made me like who I was on that aspect. And then with the stress of getting the com up and stuff, dude, I remember getting out in the field and like the first time I had experience like no like you need to have like the network up like now and the COC
Yeah.
together now because like the BC's rolling in like you don't have a fucking choice.
Yeah.
That shit was like pretty stressful, like doing the layout and or even getting a network up if there's issues getting it up and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Remember we had a problem out in Korea being connected to the satellite in general. We had to fucking move this fucking satellite back and forth fucking ever.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where I got my pretty much where I earned my NAM was in Korea because we got there
Yeah.
and they had like that software. I think they call it Speed, where you could like test how good the connections were from every. You remember that software?
Yeah, I think it's
You could
speed.
test like the
Yeah,
connections and like they're like, okay, like this is where we're gonna do our training, and it was all like red. Like they're like, yeah, there's gonna be no comm in these areas,
mm,
and then it was Gunner Bashuti, and one other. It was a major. I think he was the battalion XO at the time. I can't remember his name, but they packed me, Manthe, and Morrison in a car, and they were like, in a van, and they're like, we're gonna go to these sites. Like we've rent, and it was at the time Lieutenant Voss. Now is he still Captain Voss? I don't know. Well, Voss was a badass, but they packed us in this car, and they were like, we're gonna drive to all these sites where we're gonna be doing all this training and shit. Like we're gonna see if you guys can actually get comm up, if comm's actually possible. And but beforehand they told us like shit. They're like, yeah, it's impossible. Like they're like, I think someone already went out there and tried to and couldn't get it up. And then they're like, okay, like you guys, we're just gonna take you out, see if you could just fucking figure something out. And we did, dude. We got comm up everywhere. And then Colonel Norton, I think he was like the, whoever of the 4th Marines at the time, like he found out and he was like, holy shit. He came and like visited us like in person and was like, damn, like he's like, nobody else has been able to get comm up in these mountains, but you guys were able to do it. And as a fucking Lance Corporal at the time, who was basically like put in a position like I had to do it myself, like Manthe basically supervised me. Like he's like, figure the fuck out. But then he helped me out. He helped me out with the HF stuff, but all the other stuff, he was just like, hey, like figured the fuck out kind of thing. But like for him to come down like personally and like thank us and shit, and like able to do like all those the additional training and shit, like because of that was kind of a big deal. And he gave me like a challenge coin, which I still have. And then like shortly after they wrote me up for like a NAM for that. But I mean, for doing my job, I guess, for making mac and cheese, but yeah, I mean, it's exactly. Exactly. But yeah, so my day-to-day looked like it was really whether we were going to the field or whether we weren't. Like that's what my job really revolved around was, am I gonna go, are we preparing to go to the field? Because if we are, then I'm at the comm shop, which I'm never at.
In my room.
I'm either at the bar somewhere, or I'm in my room sleeping, or at my house sleeping, and just chilling, like enjoying Hawaii. Like, dude, there were some days, I shit you not, like, and this is taxpayer money hard at work here. Like, I get a call from someone, they're like, hey, I need you to come sign this shit. And I'm like, yeah, okay, like I'll figure it out. Like maybe I'll get there today. If not, I'll do it first thing tomorrow morning. They're like, okay, good. They'd be like, what's that sound? I'm like, oh, nothing. And I hang up, and they can hear the waves because I'm on the beach. They can hear the wind and the waves. Because I'm like in the fucking beach chair, like kicked back at like 12:30 in the afternoon, like with some beers and stuff, like because I didn't have shit to do today. But like when I was in the field, dude, like that's where, like that's why I did those things to, like, when we were in garrison, was because of the fact that like when we were in the field, dude, like sleep was like not a thing. Like comm was up. We'd always constantly break down and then set up somewhere else, and just the stress of having that, and then like staying up right before we run a range or something and programming all the fucking radios for all the fucking nets and checking every single fucking one to make sure that they work, and then having to sign out every single one and shit like that. I never lost a fucking radio, thank God. I almost did one time, and it wasn't even my fault. I almost killed a man. But I actually had a court date. I wasn't even there that day, and then I come back. I'm like, "Are we good? Like, we're good?" And yeah, the other corporal who was in my company at the time was like, "Yeah, we're good. We're all up." And I was like, "All right." Next morning, I come back, and I'm giving out the radios again, and one was fucking missing. And I was like, "You motherfucker!" Like, dude. But luckily, we found it. And we found it at the place we were training at. Like, it wasn't even like with us. Like, it was in the.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so they left it. So one of the grunts dropped it, didn't say anything, and then when they turned on all their radios, the corporal who was with me, like, who should have definitely double checked it, like that was definitely on him, and it was on me as well, as like kind of like his senior in a way, as like the senior guy on hand. It was definitely up to me as well to like double check him, which I didn't, and I just kind of took it. I was like, okay, you're a corporal, like, how hard is to count fucking radios that come in? Like, how many we have. And then and then so the people who found it were the people who were hired for like role players to like for like when we did like close quarter combat shit. And yeah, so they were the one that found it, and they handed it to the dude who like ran the company for the role players. And here I was sprinting off this fucking 53, right? The 53 lands. I'm sprinting off, like fucking covered in cami paint, you know, got a back, like a radio on my back, and I'm like fucking
Out of a movie.
yeah, literally like out of a movie, like, and I'm like propped up like in security, and I just get this like tap on my shoulder, and it's like this dude, he's like in civvies, and he was like, hey man, and my first sergeant's right next to me, he was like, hey man, did you guys lose a radio last night? And I was like, oh fuck, I was like, yeah, I did, because by that time I already reported it missing. Like I had to tell my first sergeant, I had to tell my CO, because we were right about to get on the birds and like fucking, you know, go do this training, and had to tell them like, hey, like we lost the fucking radio, like we're down a radio, like we're down green gear, it has crypto on it, like it's a big fucking deal, you know, like people get sent to the brig for shit like this. And then luckily the dude was like, hey, I have it right here. Like he's like, one of my employees like found it like in chilling one of the mount houses, you know, one of the fake houses, like I guess one of the grunts
there and forgot about it.
Yeah, no, I think he like dropped it. I think it like, because you know they're clearing rooms and shit. So I think he had, a lot of the grunts had a bad habit of putting it in like their dump pouch, and I think it like fucking fell out or something, or maybe he set it down and left it. But well, he lied about turning it in, and then at the same time, like the guy who was, I guess, like sort of my peer didn't double check that. But yeah, so that's one of the stresses of the job. But like yeah, the day to day in the garrison was very fluid, I guess would be the best word. Like it wasn't really structured. And then in the field, it was like, you know, I was always the first one up for radio. I was like the last one for radio watch, so I was up before everybody else. And then I was the last one on radio watch. That was kind of like my thing. Like during like waking hours, I'd wake everybody up, and I'd be the one there to make sure everything wasn't fucked up before I went to sleep, before everyone went to sleep. But which meant I didn't sleep as much, but it was what it is. What it is. Like I definitely fucking made up for it. But like working my ass off in those like very short periods of time, it's like working like contracts. You know, like okay, like you're gonna go work here for like 3 months, but then you get like 3 months off. That's kind of how I treated it. It was like, okay, I'm gonna go bust my ass for like, you know, these however many weeks we're in the field, and I'm come back and I'm fucking chilling, big chilling. But shit, yeah, fuck. Anything you'd like to add, man? Anything?
No, man, it was good talking to you.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, yeah, I'm thankful. Thanksgiving, thankful to have you. Thankful to have Aaron. You guys are part of this. Thankful for all the guys and men and women that we served with. Definitely thankful for them. Hope they had a great ball. Saw a lot of pictures from the ball. A good Veterans Day. Yeah, it's a great time all around. But yeah, we'll conclude on that with you. I
do want to say real quick then.
Yep.
I do want to say thanks to everybody listening, all my friends and stuff, everybody who's given reviews to me and told me how they liked it, what I need to change and stuff, what we need to change. Keep talking to us. We're excited. If you want to listen to anything or let's talk about anything, send a question to our email, rollingvetspodcast@gmail.com. And we'll see you next.
Okay. So you were saying that about the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah. It's kind of like whenever anybody asks me about like, hey, what was your job in the Marine Corps? It's like, well, depends. Are we talking garrison or field? Are we talking like, you know, normal Monday through Friday? Is there a hike planned? Is there some stupid gas mask, Seaburn bullshit? Like, come on, man.
Yeah. So that's what so Chris and I touched on that as well. But one of the main things that we touched on was the fact that it's Thanksgiving tomorrow. And then so I wanted to ask you like, what's like a very fond memory of the holidays for you, like while in the Marine Corps?
I got a shitty one. You want to hear that instead?
Yeah, okay, we can do both. You give me, because we did shitty ones too. So you give me a real shitty one and then a real good one, like a fond one and one that you'd love to forget.
Oh, okay. So Thanksgiving Day, this is when I first got to Mackey. Well, not first got, but like my first year or so in Mackey Hall, which for all you guys that don't know is the worst barracks in the Marine Corps. Commandant visits it every like 2 years, year.
Yeah.
And says, yeah, this place sucks. Got it.
Tulsi Gabbard came and visited right before we left.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's a shit show. Anyways, so first fucking barracks in the Marine Corps, and on Thanksgiving Day, the fucking toilet overflowed in the bathroom. And I'm talking shit was coming out of the toilet. It was coming up through the shower. Like in the entire place just smelled like shit. And nobody wanted to do anything because everybody was off. They had like a
But this
9-6.
was just your room, or how many rooms does this affect?
It was literally my room and the room next door. That was it. And everybody that flushed upstairs, like it would come down and up through our room because we were at the very bottom, and
Yeah.
it sucked, and nobody wanted to do shit. And so it got to the point where like the bathroom was overflowing with water, so we just took a bunch of towels and stuck it up against the door and closed the place in there. Dude, it was awful. And then I remember like a chief warrant officer ended up coming in, and he's like, "Yep, that sucks. On to business. Like, I will get somebody here as soon as we can." And there's this plumbing guy. He shows up and he's like, "Man, you took me away from my family, my holidays." I'm like, "Bitch, like,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have those holidays if it wasn't for us." And it was this like, big Mexican dude. And I was like, "Dude, I don't want to get into this, man. I'm already over it. You think I want to like stay in a room that smells like shit?"
Yeah.
So inspection comes around, field day. I mean, like at this point, like they'd taken care of it. And there was like black mold growing on the walls inside
I
the
remember that. Yeah.
bathroom.
It's
And
fucking gross.
it was
And the
disgusting.
water pressure was just insane.
Yeah. It fucking
Yeah.
going from super cold, like freezing, to
The
super hot.
yeah, the scalding hot. Yeah.
Dude. Yeah, Mackie sucked.
I thought for a while I was gonna get out of having to stay at Mackey, and then it just turns out like literally right before I got out, stayed at Mackey. I thought I was gonna get out of that whole experience, but it's funny how you come full circle, you know.
Yeah.
So that was Thanksgiving. What year was that? That was so that would have been
19? No,
2017.
17.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2017.
Yeah, it was rough. Rough stuff.
And so did you travel to go home at all? Like for like the holidays?
Some holidays. I think I spent one Christmas at home. I think.
Yeah. How was that?
I mean, it was good. I think my most fond Christmas was actually the one we had in Japanistan.
I told Chris that story how First Sergeant walked in with all the beers,
Yeah,
dressed up as Santa Claus.
I missed that. I was on duty for that one. Yeah, I'm talking about the very first Christmas before I was with you guys. I was, in the actual like line platoon, and we had like the Christmas tree decoration and weapons won because of what was the tree?
I don't remember. I think, is this the one that we had the ugly sweater contest and was this the one in Hawaii? Because we spent one. Okay, I was about to say, because we spent one Christmas deployed, and then we spent another Christmas. Like we had that Christmas party that First Sergeant threw.
I think there was a Christmas party, but I'm pretty sure it was in Japan because I remember making like trees out of beer cans.
Oh yeah, so you guys did do that. Yeah, headquarters platoon didn't participate in that, but yeah, we didn't even know we had to. Like nobody even told us. And then the other Christmas party that we had with First Sergeant that we threw in Hawaii at one of the places on base, we didn't even know, headquarters didn't even know that we had to make a tree for that. You were already in headquarters.
I remember.
Yeah. No, and we were the only ones. Yeah, no, you were, because we brought a bottle of Jameson. Remember?
I don't think so. Because
I remember I forced Simmons to go buy an ugly sweater. Remember that?
Before Simmons. I was talking about before Simmons, before he was.
Oh yeah. That's what I'm talking about, because that's the time that we were in Okie, right? Or
yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Everything blends together, man.
It does after a while, doesn't it? I never thought that would happen too. Like after I got out, I'm like, how could I forget some of the shit that we went through, and even some of like the really, really bad shit that we went through, like some of the severe weather, climates that we had to deal with, and like some of like just the bullshit, like that one time when we got back from being Op 4, turned all our weapons in the armory, everyone went home, and then they told us we had to come back, check our weapons back out, and spend the night at Boondockers You know, it's sometimes I actually forget that I went through
Do
that
like a
stupid
gas mask Seaburn thing the
and
next
do
morning.
yeah, where we
Yeah.
literally just put it on and took it off, and then, that was it. That's why we stayed an extra night when everyone was home with their families for being gone for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
People
so
like they turn in the rifles. They were in the barracks room. They were already drinking, and they're like, "Hey
yeah,
guys, get your gear, pull your rifle again. Like we're going back out." What?
ridiculous,
Yeah.
absolutely ridiculous. But so you said the Christmas party with the beer can tree was
That
is
was
that your
pretty
most
high up
fond?
there. Well, that's where I learned how to play beer ball. I had never even heard of beer ball before that.
Yeah,
Now I teach it to all my friends. Anytime we're going
yeah.
out doing something, be like, "Hey, watch this." But another really fun one was actually the 4th of July, the very last one that we had in Okinawa, where you and fucking Phillips. Remember you put on your Alpha's coat and he had like the
Yeah,
peace goggles with his
yeah. We got
Charlie.
back. We got that was the night I met Carolyn. Yeah, and
Yeah, yeah.
we went to we bar hopped and then we got back and I started playing Bruce Springsteen's like Born in the USA, and I was literally just in my boxers, like my briefs, put my chucks on,
No,
like my
you had
chuck.
your, oh, he had
No,
his
yeah,
Alphas.
yeah, no, he had his dress blues.
Yeah.
He was wearing his dress blues top,
That's
blue
right.
jeans, and his
Yeah.
fucking combat boots,
And the peace goggles.
and then the peace goggles. And I had I had my 8-point cover, the chucks, and like flip flops, and then like I was just like in my boxers, like
I
we were
think we
running
have a
around.
I think I have an epic picture of that. And I think we were playing
I
what,
definitely
Battlefield 1 or
yeah.
something in the
Yeah,
back?
we were playing Battlefield 5,
5.
and then we went up to I think it was like I can't whatever floor third platoon was on. We went to their lounge and fucked with them for a little bit, you know, like walked around like pouring shots, like playing a little beer pong and whatnot. And then yeah, then we came back. But yeah, that was a great
That
holiday.
was good. Until
Yeah.
Phillips picked a fight with certain someone and
I
all
don't think
hell
it was
broke.
that was
That
that
was the
night.
night.
That
It
was
was
that
the night.
night.
Him and
Yeah.
Shaq.
Yeah. I remember that. The great thing about that though was like we were like, oh, it's the 4th of July, like let's just go out and get sushi. And then Phillips
That
was
great
like,
sushi place.
yeah, Phillips was like, oh, I'm not drinking. I'm not drinking. I'm not drinking. We're not gonna
The
drink.
entire
And
day.
I was like, all right, okay, fine. And then we went and I started drinking. Like I got some sake at the sushi place. And then
What
he
was
was
I
like,
doing?
you
Was I
were
there? I was there, right?
yeah, it
I'm
was
pretty
you,
sure I went to that sushi place.
the one with the conveyor belt.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm pretty sure it was I guess it was I know River was there. Yeah, it
I
was
don't.
you. Oh, it was you, River, me, and Phillips. That's what it was.
And Simmons was there too, right? Because we had two different tables. There was too many of us. No,
No, I
no.
don't think so. I don't think Simmons came out with us because I wasn't going out with Simmons yet because he was still a Lance Corporal.
Oh,
We
okay.
didn't. I didn't really start taking him out until like I think a little bit into our deployment. But um, yeah. So it was like you, me, River. Maybe Simmons was it? Maybe it was a 5 crew. It might have been a 5 crew, a crew of 5.
I
Um,
remember it was so many of us we had to get two separate tables. I remember
yeah,
that.
yeah. So yeah, so then we went to sushi and he's like, I'm not gonna drink because if I drink, then we're probably gonna stay out. And I was like, yeah, don't worry about it, man. We're not gonna drink. And I started drinking, just casually, and he was like, maybe one beer, maybe one. And I was like, yeah, go ahead. And then he finishes his beer and he looks at me, he goes, it's like, Moss, you motherfucker. Like now we gotta stay out. And I was like, that's fine by me. And that's when we bar hopped everywhere. We went to
Start with that Wagyu steak too, right? The Wagyu steak. I'm pretty
yeah,
sure because it was
yeah.
super cheap out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like top grade beef for like nothing.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, I told him one of my best holidays was actually my birthday in Thailand, where
That's right.
I turned 21 on that last day of training, and it was so fucking crazy because they had like massage parlor, and this is like in the middle of the jungle. Like there's no electricity, there's like nothing out there. There's literally like we on that bus ride, I thought we were gonna get killed. Like like we're driving in the dark in the middle of the fucking jungle. Like And I'm looking at these houses that we're passing when we're going to BCK, like whatever that acronym stand for. Like it was a name, like it was a very like Thai.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these houses don't even have fucking doors or windows. Like it's just like the openings as if like it was a window, but there's like no glass. There's no door. There's a doorway, but there were no doors. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, yo, the king cobra, like, and all these other deadly ass snakes, like roam around here, like unchecked, basically. And these people are fucking sleeping in houses that like don't even have doors and windows. Like that was kind of like my first like snap back to like reality. Like wow, like you are in a very underdeveloped country right now. Like this is probably it definitely is worse somewhere else, but it's pretty bad here. And then so we did all the training and whatnot. And there was that one dirt road that was like the only way in and off a base, like, and that's where all the vendors set up.
Line up.
They all just right next to each other, and there was like a makeshift fucking massage parlors that was like one on each end. And
there was like 5 of them down that one hill, right?
Yeah.
And there was like I think like 5 or 6 bars. There was this
couple
guys
like,
selling suits.
Like we can't even say like call them bars. They were literally like tents. They were literally tents. They were like tents and like buildings, like abandoned buildings that somebody just like took over.
You know,
like,
you talk about like how, you know, these guys have no doors and the snakes and all that, but like those guys, there's some crazy motherfuckers out there. Like I remember we were searching for those nods that went missing that night. We're online and you just see this Thai Marine go, oh, runs over, opens this grate, picks up this giant fucking boa, and he's like, look what I got. And we're all just like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
you know?
Those guys were built different. They were built different for sure. Like the instructor that told us he got bit by a king cobra like 3 fucking times.
Yeah, it's like,
I'm like, why are you still doing it?
After the second time.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm like, why are you still fucking with them? He's like going around like, you know, like he's like throat checking them. And I'm like, what? I'm like, dude, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I got so lucky because that last day of training, February 23rd, it was like Captain Kent at the time was like, now Major Kent was like, hey, like it's our last day of training. We got the good to go, like to go out and have fun on that little strip or whatever on that dirt road. He's like, but you still got to wear your camis, you still got to wear your boonies, and your sleeves are still down. So I was like, so we're literally just.
I mean, we didn't have any civvies. Like they dropped
like,
our sea bags in the mud on our way to that fucking internment camp.
So we, so we got to go out and get absolutely plastered. I had people buying me drinks because it was my birthday, and
I didn't know you at the time. I mean, like I knew of you, but I didn't know you. You know?
Yeah, that was definitely an interesting time. Mooj bought me a bottle or something that day. That was a great time to turn 21 and be able to drink on my 21st birthday. Yeah.
And I remember you and I think Morrison and Monty, was it? No, what was his name? Had a stupid bike. You know what I'm talking about? Was it Denny? No, it was
it was either Croc Mall or
the guy who shot at his Monty. It was Monty.
Yeah. He shot what?
Didn't he shoot like his dad or his mom or some shit?
Oh my god, you're about to put this shit on here.
Anyways, that clown. I remember you guys all stumbling back in the gate and you're being belligerent as fuck. I'm like, damn, somebody had a good time. And the next morning on the formation, they call you out like, hey Moss, I think Baker, Gunnery Sergeant Baker calls you out. He's like, hey Moss, you sober? You all right? He just fucking calling you out, and you were too fucked up to even fucking respond.
So what happened was Escalano, our senior corpsman in the company, decides to feed me drinks all night and encourage other people to buy me drinks because it's my birthday, right? And I even like cut myself off where I was like, okay, I'm like really fucked up, and then Captain Kent, you know, I show up at this other bar where they have karaoke going on, and Aaron's up there singing fucking karaoke. Like,
that's the one right outside the gate, right? Like the bar in the middle of the hill.
Yeah, I think it was like closer. Yeah, so I
think it was
closer
like a truck or some shit. And
no, that was like a couple bars down. That was like
Oh,
a couple
okay.
bars down, a couple tents down, you know. But and Captain Kent was like, "Hey, like, it's your birthday. Let me buy you a drink." And I was like, "Sir, I am fucked up." I was like, "Sir, I can't take anymore." He's like, "You're gonna refuse a drink from your CO?" And I was like, "Oh shit." And I knew I was in trouble because all the beers that were served there were 40 ounces. They weren't like normal sized beers. Like these Thai people, they knew that Marines were coming and they were coming to drink.
The Marines are
So
coming. The Marines are
yeah,
coming.
so they brought like every beer you ordered was like a 40 ounce. And so I was like, fuck it. All right, like I'll have it. And then after that, I was toast, dude. I just remember like stumbling back and then laying down, and we all slept in that like warehouse looking thing where it was just like it was like screen doors, and then everyone slept on the floor, like on this concrete slab. Like it was fucking miserable. All these sweaty, like drunk dudes in like a very small confined space.
I actually don't remember where I slept that night. I remember I convinced someone that I was sober and got them onto base, like another Marine.
Yeah.
And I was like, good. And then I like walked away. And somehow the next morning, I like remember waking up and to the sound of people just puking in the bathroom.
Yeah. So that's where I ended up. I laid down and I was like, well, first I walked up to the door and I see like this like U shape of like a water stain from like the doorway to like around it. And I was like, what the fuck? And then somebody, I think it was Johnson, the corpsman Johnson, was like, Taryn, he goes,
yeah, Taryn.
Taryn goes, he goes, oh, that's Gunny Baker. Like Gunny Baker threw up. And I was like, no fucking way. And I wanted to fuck with him so badly, but I was like, Morrison was like a little bit more sober than me. And he was like, nah, don't fuck with him. Like, don't fuck with him. Like, I was like, okay, good call. I go lay down. I lay down, dude. I stripped down to like my boxers or whatever. I lay down and like I immediately got like sick. I was like, fuck, dude. Like I got the spins really bad. Like my stomach doesn't feel good. Cause we had spent like by this time, we had spent like a couple of weeks on the ship. And we were already there for like 3 weeks in Thailand.
Yeah.
And so we hadn't drank in almost 2 months.
And we were at higher elevation.
We were higher elevation. It was the humidity was crazy. Like you were sweating like crazy. So like whatever alcohol out of my system prior to that trip was just gone. So my tolerance with it, you know.
I'm pretty sure I ended up puking and I like ended up coming out of the stall. And I see somebody like laying in their own puke in the urinal. Like they puked in the urinal and like fell asleep in it. And I was like, what the fuck? Wait, I gotta go back.
So Patris finds me passed out in one of the stalls. Like I felt like I needed to take a shit. So I sit down and take a shit and I just start throwing up and I pass out basically. And so Patris finds me like just dead. And gets me like, you know, pulls up my pants, you know, like gets me up, like is like, okay, like we need to get you like help basically. And gets me like outside. And then next, you know, I'm sitting next to like Gunny Baker, who's getting 2 IVs, like one in each arm, and he's smoking a cigarette. And then I'm laying there and I'm like, damn, it's fucking cold outside. And I'm like, kind of like coming to now. I'm kind of like, okay, like now I'm getting like awareness, and they're like, okay, Moss, I can hear Escalano, like, okay, Moss, like we're gonna give you an IV, and I'm like thinking to myself, like,
Escalano. I thought Escalano was so drunk that he passed out.
I was like, no, I was like, Escalano. I was like, him and I basically carried ourselves back, like he carried each other back, like he was fucked up, and I'm like, who's giving me the IV? And I look down and I see Patris, the mortarman, with the needle in his hand. And he was like, okay, Moss, stay still. And sticks me. He sticks me. A mortarman sticks me. Escalano's like back there saying like, oh yeah, that's a good vein. And I'm like, dude, how could you even see anything right now? You're just as drunk as I am. And then Patris, like, he sticks me, right? And he's looking around and he's like, where's the bag? And I'm like, what? And he's like, Moss, whatever you do, just don't look down, because he managed Patris in his, you know, drunkenness and everything, managed to actually hit a vein but they didn't hook up the bag to the needle.
Stupid.
So I'm squirting out fucking blood now. There's blood down my arm. And I'm looking, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then finally they got the bag and like hooked it up and everything. And I was like, thank God. I was about to bleed out, drunk as fuck. But that's how I spent my 21st birthday was having to get an IV.
I talked to Taryn afterwards, and he's like, yeah, dude, I gave like 20 IVs that night. I tried to wake up Escalano, but he was like asleep on the bag, sucking his thumb, and we couldn't get him up for shit until like 2 hours later, whenever he finally
he was a thumb sucker, wasn't he? He was a thumb sucker.
He was. Oh man, I could not believe it when I heard it.
Funny,
like, we had mortarmen and machine gunners fucking giving IVs.
Oh, dude, it was hilarious. The best thing, and I have to say this about one of our corpsmen, Marrero, because Chris, one of my fucking his best roommate, friends. He roomed with me. Him and his wife roomed with me for a while. So, and he gives me shit about a lot of things. So I'm gonna give him shit now. So he was so drunk, right, that he pissed in the sink and then washed his hands in the urinal.
Oh shit.
And then the next morning he was so hungover that when we're on the bus going back to the ship, he throws up in his med bag on the bus.
Oh no.
And he throws up all over Brooks. Brooks was sitting in front of him.
I remember that. I remember Brooks bitching him out one time for that. Oh, that was
dude, straight up. He was like, because he was in the bathroom when I stumbled into the bathroom. I was still like relatively conscious, and he was getting out of the shower because he hopped in the shower, I guess, to sober up. And they're like, here's some like clean like skivvies. And he's like, no, I'm gonna wear my skivvies. And apparently, like he like fucking threw up on his skivvies or something. And he put his dirty skivvies on, went over, pissed in the sink, and then came over and like literally like flushed the urinal, was like washing his hands in the urinal because he was so drunk.
That night was, I actually, it's funny. I would not have remembered that night if you hadn't brought it up. Like, yeah, it was a good time. I remember it being a good time, but I don't remember all this. I remember I did wake up the next morning and I didn't have my blouse. I was like, dude, what the heck? Like, where's my shit? And I talked to, do you remember Twistle? Corporal Entwistle. Big
yes,
dude.
Yes, I remember him. His twin brother freaked me out one time.
Yeah, dude, that was scary. That was like, he's looking at me, and I turn around, and I see him again. I was like, wait a second, like, did you just change clothes real quick? Like, how are you over there?
Wasn't his brother a sergeant too?
Yeah. They're both sergeants now, I think.
Well, yeah, they're probably both sergeants now, but at the time, like when he was in India, he was a corporal, and his brother was a sergeant. And then I was like, looked at him one day. He was over at the bricks, and I was like, when did you pick up sergeant? And he's like, oh, you're probably thinking of my brother. And I'm like. And I thought he was fucking with me. I was like, ha ha, like very funny, and like walked away. And then I saw his brother come, and I was like, oh shit, like literally spitting image. Identical twins.
They react the same way too. Like, like the weird, like I don't know how like his mannerisms were. I can't remember them, but like they would do the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit! Now there's two of them.
Oh man,
But anyways, he comes up. And he like passed me my blouse, and it's like wet. I'm like, like what happened to my blouse? Like I had to wash it. Like he puked over it. I was like, what? I did. I don't know if it was my puke or someone else's, but like he washed my shit for me. Like, this is like Lance Corporal Potter at the time. I was like, I'm gonna get fucked up for this later, aren't I?
Yeah.
Nothing happened. He's just a chill dude.
Dude, I remember there was one of the bars where like there was no bathroom. You had to literally piss off the side of a hill.
What?
Yeah, and it was right next to one of the massage parlors. So I had to. So I'm gonna
top of the hill because I didn't go towards the top.
Dude, I don't remember what was top, bottom, sideways, or whatever from like the bars. I just remember stumbling from each one and then magically making it back to base. But so I'm with Sergeant Brown too, the mortarman. And we're like pissing right next to each other, and he takes my fucking boonie and just throws it off the hill. I had to crawl down this piss fucking filled hill, like piss covered hill, to grab my boonie and bring it back up.
Dempsey,
Dempsey. And then I get up all the way to the top, right? And like this massage parlor had like the cinder block wall, but it was like maybe like shoulder height. And I see Garcia from Third Platoon, Jacob, over the side of it like this, throwing up on the side of the building, and the woman that was giving him a massage was still giving him a massage. He's like, as he's like throwing up on the side, he goes, "Hey, Moss." I'm like, "You all right, man?" And she's like rubbing his back and like still working his leg. Like, oh man,
Dude, that was a wild night.
dude, it's crazy.
Wild
That was my 21st birthday. Like, I was so fucking lucky that all that fell into place, and that all that happened on that day. Like, definitely one of my most fond memories of like a holiday. Well, my personal holiday. But
No, yeah, that's it doesn't get better than that because I remember my 21st. I think you were the person to give me my first legal drink in the US.
yeah,
And that was
yeah,
and it was like I think a week before we deployed and went out to Okinawa and I could drink again anyway. So I was kind of like
yeah.
bummed out about that. And I was like, hey, but I don't know. It was really cool. Like that was a good experience, but nothing on the level of fucking Thailand, dude. Like
Yeah, Thailand was lawlessness. And then so that next day we took the bus back to the ship, and they're like, "Hey, like tonight's your first night libo." And everyone's like, "Oh shit," because everyone's so fucking hungover from the night before. Like, I even thought about like saying, "Fuck it," like
that was
I'm
never
just
a
gonna,
question for
yeah,
me.
I was like, I'm just gonna stay on the, I'm gonna stay on the ship, bro.
Never
Like,
a question for me. I did
but
some
then,
very
but then
questionable things that night.
yeah, but then Morrison was like, "Yeah, come on, man, we're only getting like 2 nights." Like, he's like, you're not gonna want to miss out on this experience. And I was like, shit, fuck it, all right. So I was like hungover as fuck, but still went, and still, dude, had a wild night. That's when I like saw like we paid to see the donkey show, but it wasn't the donkey show. It was like this
I
woman
remember that.
doing all this fucking
Yep.
crazy stuff. I was
I
like,
missed
what
it.
am I watching?
I missed it. I've heard stories about it and I regret it, but I missed that show.
Yeah,
We started off the
the
trip with
Pong show. That's what it was. The Pong show. Yeah.
we started off the night at it was like the ship was docked, then there was the mall. To the right of the mall, there was like this open area, right? Which is like this dance floor, like it was like this club outside, but to the right of it, there was some tents, and each tent like had this table. And their signature thing.
Are you describing the Philippines? That sounds like the Philippines.
No, this was Thailand. This was our first night of libo in Thailand, not on the BCK camp.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to remember because I thought in Thailand.
There was another mall in Thailand, but that was a strip. I'm talking about in
Okay,
Thailand whenever we went into the city that dropped us off at.
we did do. Which one did we have to take buses from the ship? Was that the Philippines or was that Thailand?
I think that was Thailand, right? Buses.
Yeah, because that's where we had to
Yeah.
take buses
Those
from.
the buses with like the weird stuff on the windows.
Well, yeah, I mean both. Yeah, I guess so. I guess that
Yeah,
was Thailand.
that was Thailand.
Some because I thought, oh yeah, because we would take the buses to go to the Hard Rock.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So that's why I'm trying to like
it was
geographically like pinpoint like where this place is that you're
Hard
thinking of.
Rock was to the right of where we were at. So it was further
Yeah.
down the street to the left.
Mhm.
And there was this open like bar. And we started off the night with these like coolers, and these like coolers of like 3-liter like towers. And usually it was like, oh yeah, you get a liter or like the 3-liter tower for like the entire table. There was
Yeah.
6 of it. It was like me, Young, Reader, fucking Jaeger, like that whole crew, Winter and me. It was the 5 of us. And we got a 3-liter for each of us. Like we all got we'd be pouring that shit into our mouths. We're like, okay, Young got two 3-liters,
Yeah.
like 3-liter towers, and we're like, okay, we're gonna down this tower, then we're gonna go out. Dude, everything after that was kind of a blur.
Young was such a sponge, dude. That dude could just
drink everything,
drink
Yeah.
and eat anything, and he was a skinny dude still. Like,
Yeah, his wife calls him a garbage disposal because like anything
Yeah.
you want, here you go, and it's just gone.
yeah, that dude was just, I could just absorb anything around him. It was
And
definitely
he was always
impressive to
fit,
watch.
you know?
Yeah, like crazy good fit. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
it was blessed. Good genes.
yeah.
Good genes.
Fun guy too. Like he didn't let anything go to his head or anything like that. He was always super down to earth, super chill.
Yeah.
Shit, was. Goddamn. Speaking
Yeah,
like he's
yeah.
fucking dead.
Yeah, he's still here. He's still here.
He's
Thank
actually out
God.
by me. I hit him up the other day. I should go visit him. He's like
He get
an hour
out?
and a half. No, he's in Pendleton.
Okay, so okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, his wife was really cool too. She used to come to like the barracks parties and shit.
Yeah, she was
Yeah,
legit.
she could hang, dude. She could hang with the boys, like for sure. Yeah, she was pretty dope. She used to come to all the cookouts and stuff we used to have at Mackey. Yeah, wow.
Great dude.
Yeah,
we should hit some. We should get some of these guys on here.
Well, that's what I was just telling Chris this after we concluded our segment was that shortly here we're gonna start making that roster. I hit up actually Alan. So Barrett, remember Barrett?
Oh yeah, the
Yes.
drunken kung fu at the Australian bar. I was watching.
I almost forgot about that.
No, you did not. I was
I
just
almost
watching
forgot.
something that reminded me of that. I was like, holy shit.
Tell me
that's
that
right,
story
dude.
again. Refresh my mind because I
Okay.
fucking.
So we went to the bar. I had just gotten off restriction, right? So I'm fucking hype. I can finally drink again. Like, let's go. And I remember meeting you guys at a bar, right? And you're sending Alan home. You're sending him home. I'm like, what happened? And you told me the story secondhand. So I think you'd have a better like picture of what happened.
Yeah, so I think I remember what happened. It was because he was so drunk already. He was. I forgot what we were trying to do. We were trying to do something, and he was definitely impeding something.
Oh, you were trying to pick up girls. You were trying to pick up chicks, right? You were talking to these two hot, like blonde. No. We were setting up Cordova.
No, yeah, it was Cordova. I was trying to talk to someone for Cordova.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah,
I was hook him up.
Yeah, so and I don't even know why Barrett came with us. I can't remember why, but
like the little buddy rule or something.
Oh, I think all of headquarters came out that night, I think.
Yeah, because I went out with Liel.
Okay.
So we stopped at like 6 Pines, 7 Pines, and I remember this so vividly because we ordered a hard cider because that's all the Aussies drank, right? And it said 27% on it, and I was like, that's got to be a typo. It's probably like 2.7, right?
Yeah.
So we get a pitcher, and we pour it. We drink the entire pitcher, just talking, just shooting the shit. And I was like, you feel anything? He's like, nah. Do you feel anything? Nah. So we ordered another pitcher and we downed the second pitcher. And then like we stood up to like, they like, yo, like what's going on? And we're like, oh, we should probably slow down, huh? Like, yeah. And then I remember walking across 2 bars and I met you guys.
Yeah.
And that's when Baron was on the way out.
Yeah.
And all that stuff.
He was, he was talking. Oh, we were watching. I think it was the live music, wasn't it? We were at that place where they're doing the live music. I can't remember this. I can't remember like what exactly happened. He said something about fucking kung fu when I was like, I was like, so bro, I was like, you need to go home. Like you need.
From what I heard, like, it was he like the girls you were talking to. He was sitting behind them, and he would keep trying to talk to them.
Yeah,
but like they weren't into him, so like they'd kind of shut him down and like keep talking.
Yeah,
and
then
he was just doing like kung fu in the back or something. He's like, let me show you my kung fu. And he was busting out some
like
moves.
That. Some shit like that, dude. It was I just remember like being like, okay, like you're cut off. Like Alan,
I remember that.
Alan, you're done. Like you're.
Oh no. He was a good dude though. I really enjoyed hanging out.
Oh, he's a great dude. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's a great dude. I was just talking to him recently. He's doing recruiting, I think, in West Virginia, and that's where Jerry did his recruiting too, which is hilarious. But he was telling me, he's like, dude, like it's so fucking hard being a recruiter here. He's like, I'm either like these kids are either can't pass the ASVAB or they can't pass the drug test. And I was like, damn, that struggles. But I was telling him, I was like, dude, I would love to like have you on like the podcast sometime and for you to talk about like recruiting and like that whole like this area of expertise that you have now from being, a recruiter for a while, and just kind of so we could see things from, his perspective. Because none of us ever took a B billet. We were one of those. We got 4 and we got the fuck out. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna have him on there. Like, yeah, definitely gonna. Yeah, fuck that. But I'm definitely gonna have him on here, or we're definitely gonna have him on here and talk to him a little bit about that. But we're definitely gonna start. I'm gonna start putting some feelers out to some people. Like we're gonna get a list together, put some feelers out, and have some. I've already had a couple good guys that have reached out to me about wanting to be on and stuff. So
For sure. Yeah.
yeah.
We should get Melina on here. If anybody can understand
Oh
it,
yeah,
we'll be cracking
definitely.
up.
Yeah, Melina eats this shit up. Shout out to him, the devil doc. You know,
Devil
he's
Doc.
the devil doc.
Oh, oh, oh.
Yeah.
Senior line, Devil Doc. Okay.
Yeah, I mean he's one of the lucky corpsmen too, because he got really, like, when he came to 3-3, he got thrown into like 81s. They were just like, hey, like, we need someone in 81s. Like, so he was with the Mortarmen. So he was with a weapons company, like his first, go around. And then after that, he was able to, like, they were like, hey, we need someone over at India. And he got to come to India. So like, he's one of the lucky docs that got to like stay basically with a company for a majority of his time in 3-3 and not have to
Yeah.
really work at BAS a whole lot.
It was cool hearing his perspective too, because we played Op 4 all the time, right? And so he was with 81s for 3-3. And like hearing his perspective about what we did and how we fucked him up as Op 4
Yeah.
was just the best, dude. I was like, hell yeah, this guy knows.
I remember that the time you were referring to. What was it? What was that called? It was called something, that last test right before you deploy.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's gonna drive me insane now. If anyone's watching this and they know exactly what I'm talking about, like, you need to reply. Like, it's an acronym, I'm pretty sure. It's like that last
McCree.
McCree. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, so the McCree. Yeah, good shit. Yeah, so that was like our first McCree, and we went against the entire battalion. India company went against the entire battalion and fucked them up. Like, and I remember, like, after we've been fucking them up for a couple of days, we got in our last pause, and they were like, and I'm sitting there in the meeting, like, as like Captain Cat and fucking, who's that? I can't believe. I can't believe I forgot his name, because I intentionally forced my body. I trained my body to forget this dude's name because I absolutely fucking hated him so much.
Sergeant Major Noel.
No.
Lieutenant Colonel Easton.
No, he was the weapons platoon commander, our boot year, and then he was XO for like a very short period of time when we thought we lost Thompson.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
And then he became something else in the battalion.
Blonde hair.
No, tall, dorky looking, black hair.
Tall, dorky looking black hair.
I almost can, like, this dude's name is like coming off my thing. He became some kind of, when he went to H&S company afterwards, he was like in charge, I think, of like S4 or something. I can't remember, but he became a captain like shortly after. He was a first lieutenant with weapons platoon, our boot year. I can't remember his dude's name. It was like right before Reed came, but
Reed was my first platoon commander. So.
Yeah, so this dude was a fucking idiot. I absolutely hated his guts. And I'm sitting there during this meeting, and Captain Kent, now Major Kent, was like, hey, like, what do we do? Like, we've been fucking them up. It's like, they're pretty embarrassed. Like, we've embarrassed them. Like, we need to come up with a plan to kind of like lose. And that's what they did, dude. They literally sat there, and all like the platoon commanders and the CO, the XO, like, they all sat there. We're like brainstorming on a way that we could lose. And so that night we're like, okay, that's what our attack is going to be. Like, there's no way we don't lose during this attack. And then it turned out the attack that they planned, that we were all supposed to get slaughtered, we ended up flanking them and rolling up the entire line of the battalion.
We fucked them up. That's like the fifth time.
We ended up in the COC.
Because and it was, I remember, like, when we first landed, they had helos coming in, and we put mortars on them. Boom, dead. Yeah, the entire battalion gone. The second time they came in, we had
Wilmer, Brown, and Patrick got their money's worth.
Yeah, they did. And then I think we had outmaneuvered them like 3 different times in the jungle. And then the 4th time, when we were supposed to lose, we ended up just rolling them, like you said.
Yeah, we ended up stumbling upon like literally the end of their line and just rolling them up. That was the craziest thing. And the crazy thing is, like, we had that fucking 7-ton with us that we had to cover with like the cami netting.
I remember seeing that. We would just get water resupplies off the Humvee.
Oh yeah, so we had to do that, right? And like, these fucking cobras are flying around, like, trying to find us. And dude, and we're like on that, like our first position was like up on this tall ass hill, and these cobras are like, I'm literally looking, like taking a piss and looking a fucking pilot like in his eyes, like looking directly at him, and he can't see me for some reason. He just couldn't see me through like the foliage, but I'm like making almost like eye contact with this dude. Like that's how fucking close they were flying, and they couldn't find us. Like they couldn't see us. They had no idea where we were at. Like that was like the craziest thing.
I remember they asked us for our pause rep, and they called in a notional airstrike on that pause. I was like, dude, come on. Like, you're reinventing different ways to fucking beat us. Like, come on.
Bunch of fucking losers. Yeah. Sore losers.
And then there was that fucking helo in Australia that wouldn't die. Bro, I remember
that was ITX. That was ITX.
ITX, California.
The Hind. Yeah.
The Hind, yeah, the Russian fucking Hind.
Yeah, Carolyn and I were playing Battlefield 2042, and they have a Hind in there. And I was just telling her, like, today I almost fucking broke my TV because some dude was in the Hind, like, fucking like just destroying my entire team. Like, it was extremely frustrating. I almost quit. Like, I don't usually rage quit, but I was like, I really thought about rage quitting.
Dude, that Hind. I remember going to the battalion COC at one point, and I looked at the intel, the board, and it said like this many units, this many British Royal Marines,
yeah.
And for Hind, it just had infinity sign on it because we had killed that bitch so many fucking times.
Yeah. So the crazy thing that led up to that, us getting annihilated by the Hind, was the fact that we literally just lost an entire platoon to an AAV crash. And then shortly after that,
a real AAV crash.
A real AAV crash, like a real crash, like
driving took out blackout, and an AAV rolled over. We had to do a real fucking medevac.
Yeah, like fucking 20 dudes. I think I sent up like 22, 23 around there, 9 lines that day. And then an hour or two after that, we're driving down the road, and one catches fire with our dudes in there. Yeah. And luckily they got out in time because the whole fucking thing went up in flames. So it's like, Jesus Christ. Like,
yeah, that was just a cursed day. I remember
it was a cursed day. Very cursed day.
We had 2 hours of sleep. We packed up our paws, got in the AVs, driving blackout. Boom, one rolls off the cliff. All right. Hey guys, no more blackout. Lights on. Yeah. We're not fucking with this shit anymore. And then we keep rolling. And then, like you said, another one, like I think the AV right in front of me ends up catching fire.
Yeah.
Like, and we're just like, shit, man, what do we do? So we packed all the guys we could in the remaining AVs and kept going.
Yeah.
And then you have,
then we finally get we finally get where we're supposed to be, and this helicopter like kills us all.
Oh no, and then the lad locked onto him 3 separate times and shot it down. And then after it was shot down 3 times, it's like, oh, you're all dead.
Yeah.
So we all just laid down and took a nap. Like
the entire power, the entire power of Russia was behind that. Behind that counteroffensive.
It wasn't Russians. It was what do we call them?
Dakotians.
It was the Dakotian forces.
Which I actually wonder if people that live in like North and South Dakota, if they are called Dakotians.
Is that where the name comes from?
I don't know. That's what I think. That's what one of the intel guys explained to me. That like all these fake people that we're killing, because we can't say that they're Chinese, we can't say that they're Russian, we can't say that they're Iranian, unless we're actually at war with them. So it's like a very political thing. We can't be like training to kill.
But what about the Green Ivans? Come on, man.
Well, so Green Ivans are different. That's just that's not the actual official name for the target. That's just what everybody calls them. That's totally different from saying like from like developing this entire grand scheme, like strategic, like training operation, and like having the enemy that you're facing like labeled as a country that your country already has racial tensions with. That would definitely spark up a lot of, like, if any reporter or anyone got a hold of that, like, oh, Marines are training to kill Russians in the fucking and at ITX. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's like PC. I would say it's more like political than it is political correctness. Like, it's just like the fact, like, I mean,
I don't care what they're called, but let's be honest, we don't care what they're called. Yeah. All right, we're gonna turn their brains into pink mist regardless of what the fuck they're called.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I had fucking over 1,000 notional Dakotian kills.
Yeah.
Like, does it matter if I call them anything else? Come on.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I actually was talking to a dude about that. Oh, I said something at work yesterday. I said putting warheads on foreheads.
Yeah.
And this dude was like, "What'd you just say?" And I was like, because I was talking about playing Battlefield, and I was like, "Yeah, man, I was just putting fucking warheads on foreheads on in Battlefield." And he goes, "I've never heard that before. Like that's crazy." And I was like, I used to hear that all the time, especially
All the
from
time.
especially from
Mortar
the
section.
mortarmen.
Yeah, the mortarmen that play spades all day. Cough,
Uh,
cough. Shots fired.
oh man, but all right, yeah, just fucking, it's crazy, man. Holidays, the day to days, some of the crazy stories, man. But yeah, we're gonna wrap it up. You have any thoughts? Any thoughts about the holidays? Any thoughts about what we talked about?
No, not really, man. I mean, just crazy to think about the stuff we forgot, you know? It's
Yeah.
so easy to get wrapped up in like a couple of the big things or like, memories with certain people because the people are what makes it, right? But like
Yep. Exactly.
it's very easy to forget about like, some of the bigger stuff, some of the stuff that really sucked that you're like,
Yeah.
you're like, oh man, I missed the Marine Corps. I missed this. And then you like
You remember that stuff,
remember
and
the
you're like,
bullshit.
"That's probably why I got out."
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably. And
Yeah.
then like even the good times though, like I completely forgot about Thailand. And like I remember Thailand being a good time. Like that's what I
Yeah.
remember. I remember the Philippines and Thailand almost as one until we started
Yeah.
talking about it. And I was like, oh yeah,
Yep.
buses this way, ship
Yeah.
with the plank over here.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yeah. And it's all about like the details, like and like a lot of this stuff like that you bring up too, like when we like connect with each other by speaking about our experiences, is like we like rekindle that, like those thoughts. So like, oh man, like I totally forgot about Alan's kung fu thing. Like that was absolutely fucking hilarious. It was definitely hilarious in the moment. It was hilarious for weeks after that. I used to give him so much shit about it. I remember that, but like I don't think about that like on a day-to-day basis. But like now that we are able to like relate in our experiences, it like unearths a lot of those great memories that were, I would definitely say those memories, they were few and far between. Is
For
that
sure.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think
A
that's
lot of
probably
it
the
was
best.
just bullshit, bro.
Yeah. I think that's probably the best way to put it, which makes us cherish them that much
Right.
more,
Exactly.
But man.
That's why I
Well,
think we should stay in touch a lot more with, people. Like
yeah.
it's hard. Yeah, it sucks. Like I personally do a terrible job at it, right? This podcast
Yeah.
allows me to see at least one person that I remember spending a lot of days with. But
Yeah.
like other than that, I think there's only like 5 or 6 people that I really talk to anymore from 3-3. And it's crazy because I know I have a lot of those other connections and memories with people that like if I talk to them, they'll be like, oh, you remember that time when yada yada this and this
Yeah.
happened? Like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
so it's weird. It's really weird.
It's weird, but it's a good weird.
It is.
It's definitely a good weird. Well, here we are. You stuck with us all the way to the end. We thank you for listening. We want our listeners to know that if your pack becomes too heavy, don't drop it. The Veterans Crisis Hotline can be reached at 1-800-273-8255. If you'd like to enjoy more content, don't forget to subscribe, Semper Fi, and keep rolling on.
Rah.
Rah.